Since the ceasefire went into effect last week and all the living hostages were released, Hamas has been slow to deliver the bodies of the hostages who have been killed. They have been executing Gazan civilians in the streets and attacking IDF troops in various places, killing 2 yesterday morning. The IDF has responded with severe airstrikes in Gaza, hitting terror targets. Yesterday morning, Hamas terrorists fired an anti-tank missile at IDF troops stationed in Rafah, which is territory held by the IDF in accordance with the ceasefire put in place behind the yellow line in Gaza. The terrorist opened fire, killing 2 IDF soldiers, Major Yaniv Kula, who's 26 years old, and Staff Sergeant Itay Yavetz, 21 years old. A 3rd soldier was also wounded in this same attack. This is incredibly despicable, but really highlights who the enemy is that Israel is still fighting, even though there's a ceasefire in effect. Imagine the families of these soldiers, now relieved that there's a ceasefire and their sons are no longer in danger fighting, only to lose these 2 brave soldiers to this great evil called Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Thankfully, Israel responded with forceful airstrikes against Hamas. The IDF issued a statement shortly after saying, quote, "In response, the IDF has begun striking the area to eliminate the threat and dismantle tunnel shafts and military structure used for terrorist activity. These terrorist actions constitute a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement, and the IDF will respond firmly." The IDF posted on X that its strikes targeted weapons storage facilities, firing posts, terrorist cells, and additional Hamas infrastructure. Also, the IDF struck and dismantled around 6 kilometers of underground terror tunnels, infrastructure used to advance attacks against Israel, using over 120 munitions in the attack. As a result of the IDF strikes, the Qassam Brigade field commander Yahya al-Mabhouh was killed along with several other terrorists of the Qassam Brigade. Hamas spokespersons distanced themselves from the attack on the IDF by these terrorists, claiming that they have, quote, lost contact with many of their fighters in the strips. And while this could be true, it also could be one reason why Hamas has been such a difficult enemy to fight over the course of the war. Hamas leadership could have made it very clear from the beginning of the war that every terror cell was to fight on their own and did not have to wait for orders from the top. At the same time, this is just an excuse, and probably an excuse that Hamas will use every single time that terrorists violate the ceasefire and attack IDF troops. After Hamas's breach of the ceasefire, the IDF also closed all the crossings into the Gaza Strip and halted humanitarian aid entering. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared Sunday evening that aid into the Strip will only continue when Hamas stops its massive bombings and continues to release the slain hostages. Bringing you the accurate information about what is happening in Israel and the Middle East like we do in these videos isn't easy or cheap, and we would like to ask you, if you find value in this channel, to please consider joining our team in producing these videos by supporting us monthly. Everything we create is actually made possible by people like you who believe in standing with Israel and sharing the truth about what's happening on the ground. Your support helps us to keep telling the stories that matter and giving a clear, honest voice to what is actually happening in Israel. If you're able to join us, we have a special access Telegram group with behind-the-scenes content, updates on our volunteer work in Israel, special store discounts, prayer requests, and a monthly Zoom call with Joshua Waller, and much, much more. If you'd like to join us, you can go to theisraelguys.com/donate, or just click that link down in the description below. Late last night, Israel announced that it was reinforcing the ceasefire in the Strip after the IDF had finished carrying out its strikes on Hamas. The IDF stated, quote, "In accordance with the directive of the political echelon and following a series of significant strikes in response to Hamas's violations, the IDF has begun the renewed enforcement of the ceasefire in line with the terms of the agreement. The IDF will continue to uphold the ceasefire agreement and will respond firmly to any violation of it." An Israeli security official told Israeli media that Israel does not want to bring about the collapse of the ceasefire. There is simply a straightforward equation of a violation and a response, and this will continue as long as Hamas keeps violating the agreement. Now, this seems like a very common sense approach for Israel to do, given the immense pressure that they are under from Washington to uphold their end of the ceasefire agreement. They cannot let Hamas violations of the ceasefire go unpunished, and they don't really want to start a full-scale offensive again unless they have to. In the last week since the ceasefire went into effect, Hamas has violated the ceasefire in three major ways that I want to point out. Number one, they have only released about half of the hostages' bodies, the deceased hostages being held in the Gaza Strip, which were all supposed to be released within the first 72 hours of the ceasefire going into effect. Number two, Hamas continues to attack IDF positions across the Gaza Strip and even killed 2 IDF soldiers yesterday. Number three, Hamas has been exercising a reign of terror in the parts of Gaza that they now have control of, thanks to the ceasefire, and have executed hundreds of Gazans in the streets publicly. Some of these Gazans were accused of collaborating with Israel. Some of them were rival factions who were a threat to Hamas's power hold of the Gaza Strip. Now, all of these violations and horrible actions have gone without one word from the mainstream media and without one complaint from those who cried genocide against the IDF while they were meticulously eliminating terrorists while trying to avoid civilian casualties. Where are the outcries while Hamas publicly executes those same Gazan civilians and broadcasts it to the world? Unfortunately, those people who cry genocide don't actually care about Gazans or human life at all. All they care about is bringing bogus accusations against Israel to try and destroy the Jewish state. In regards to this whole ceasefire deal, I want to talk about something that is not being talked about much in the mainstream media and certainly not in these recent ceasefire talks. That is how much money the Palestinian Authority paid to the terrorists who were just released from Israeli prisons in exchange for the hostages. Last week, Israel released 250 terrorists in the ceasefire deal who were serving life sentences for terror attacks. The NGO Palestinian Media Watch just published a report on what the PA paid to those terrorists while in prison. You may not believe this, but 160 of those 250 terrorists became millionaires while in prison. The Palestinian Authority paid 229.5 million shekels to those 160 terrorists. That's about $70 million to murderers, to terrorists, for killing Jews just because they're Jews. That doesn't include the other 90 terrorists, what they received, or what the PA also pays every single family of those terrorists, which was also a lot. The Palestinian Authority is a terror organization just like Hamas, and they have control of the Palestinian areas of Judea and Samaria right now. Now imagine you lived in a neighborhood that had a family clan whose leaders paid members of their clan to murder your children. Wouldn't you want to kick them out of your neighborhood as fast as possible? And yet the UN and the nations of the world try and force Israel to give them a state of their own. I think it shows just what a crazy world we live in, what a crazy times we are living in. There is great confusion in this dark world, so guys, make sure to focus on the light, focus on the truth, and make sure to support the right side. Support God's side. As always, thanks for watching.